What up? It's 92.9 WDUP, New London's home of timeless hip hop and R&B. And one of my favorite shows is a trifecta. I already told this man three of my favorite shows of all time in no particular order: Martin, Fresh Prince, and Entourage. We have Ellin, the creator, writer of Entourage. You know, Emmy nominated. I mean, we go. You kind of flex too if you want, Doug, man. About of all your prestige, man. But one of my favorite shows is Entourage, man. Thank you, man, for calling in, man.
Absolutely, I appreciate it.
So yes, man. It's just let's talk about what you got going on now. The Victory Podcast. I think that's a great move right now. You know what I mean? To kind of give all the Entourage fans kind of a an outlet for those who are mad that you actually canceled the show.
You know what? It was a good time with everything going on in the world. Where we got a lot of time on our hands, so we decided to get me and a couple of the cast members together. And we're talking Entourage, but we're also talking about our lives and our careers and everything else. And it really is like what people are saying when they listen to it. It feels like an episode of the show because we're just basically talking. And the guys, you'll see similarities between them and the characters they played, and differences as well. And we'll go behind the scenes a little bit, but it's it's a lot more than Entourage, which is cool.
Nah, absolutely. And on the podcast, drama. Kevin Dillon, he sounds like drama. You know what I'm saying? You got Kevin Conley, he sounds like E a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And then you had Jerry Ferraro on there. You even had Emanuel on there. They all sound like their character. You still haven't been able to get Adrian on there, man. He's that bougie. What's going on with Vinny Chase, man?
I don't know. He's in hiding somewhere. I don't know. We'll get him. We'll track him down at some point, like Bin Laden. We'll get him. But I mean, he's definitely a tricky one to lock down. So, but we're having a lot of fun anyway. So whoever comes on, we had Reese Coiro who plays Billy Walsh, and we'll get Dominic Lombardozzi to come on. So it's been a good time.
Yeah. But what's bugged out about this with the casting? You know what I'm saying? I don't know like how much influence you had on the casting, but it felt like it's perfect. It felt like they fit. They actually fit the character. Like again, I'm listening to the Victory Podcast, and it sounds like them. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, we spent a lot of time casting it, and I was looking for to find basically my childhood friends and guys who were like that, and I found them. And there are a lot of differences between them and their characters, but there's a lot of similarities as well. And obviously, as you start writing a show, you start playing into that stuff when you learn what people's strengths are. So it's funny to listen to because there are differences, but then there are a lot of similarities.
Yeah. And I tapped into your wiki, man. Like, all right, the boys were from Queens, but you from Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? So what made you go from, what I'm saying, as far as like writing it, like I just want to know about your writing process. You know what I'm saying? Like it takes a lot of.
You know what? I was. Yeah.
You got it. Go ahead, man.
I was born in Brooklyn and I grew up in Long Island, and even though we got a lot of tough guys in Long Island, I didn't want it to reflect certain elements of Long Island that people think about. So I just Queens is where we landed on as kind of the perfect spot.
Yeah.
And all of us have similar roots. Jewish, Italian, Irish. Usually started in Brooklyn, the Bronx, Queens, and then moved out to Long Island back when I was growing up. So it was all about kind of finding the way I grew up in similar working class neighborhoods and things like that.
Yeah. And I don't want to do like some C-SPAN type ish, man, get into your background. But I do want to know how you actually got into like that position of power where you could actually make those calls, man. How'd you go about doing that?
Well, I mean, I came out to Hollywood when I graduated college. I started doing stand-up comedy, and I made a couple of movies that sold to studios and wrote some scripts. And then, I wrote the scripts for the Entourage pilot. And then you still, even after that, you got to go prove yourself. And then I started running the show. So, that's kind of how it happened. And it sounds easier than it was, but it was a long road. I mean, I made 3 movies and wrote probably 15, 20 scripts before Entourage happened, a decade into my Hollywood career. But, then at that point, I finally got into the position to kind of make the calls,
Yeah. So, I've been listening to the Victory Podcast, and I actually heard that, much of the dialogue was scripted. So that's all you. They weren't going off script, and a whole bunch of improv or anything like that, man. That made me respect you even more, man. Like man, you out of here, man. Like, how do you come up with that? Because go ahead, man.
I don't even know, but I obsessed over every single word, and improv was, very limited. We had Gary Busey on this week, and Larry David was on the show. Those were two of the few people who improvised, but most of it was pretty on the page. And, that's just usually how it goes with good TV shows. You have a writer that kind of is specific about what he wants, and hopefully you find the actors that buy into that, and it goes. And then, the trick is to make it feel like it is improvised. So that was always a compliment when people said it was improvised, because you want it to feel as realistic as possible, and like they're not doing a script. But that's, great acting, and then people can judge the writing however they want,
Okay, so do you think Entourage can actually float in this era right now? I feel like we in a bitch ass era right now, and I don't know if it can fly. I think it should fly, but as far as the writing, and if you had to do Entourage in 2020, like, would you take a different approach, or would you be like, F it, y'all can just hold that, and I'm gonna just do the show how I want?
Well, I would still do it how I wanted, but the show, when it was done in 2003 to whatever, 13, 14 with the movie, it was very realistic to what was going on in the world and what was going on in Hollywood. So if I was doing it today, I would do it realistically to what's going on today. So it's not that I would change things for PC culture or any of that, but Ari wouldn't speak that way in an office today, or he'd be on the cover of, TMZ and thrown out of the business. So while I always believed that Ari was actually, the Ari character was actually a lot nicer. It was words, but he was actually a good guy than most of the people and agents in this town. But you can't speak like that in an office anymore. Like someone will record it and that'll be the end of your life. So you would have to adjust. You would have to adjust for what the time is in reality. That doesn't mean there's not still funny. That doesn't mean there's not still good people, bad people in different businesses. But yeah, of course it would be different. But it wouldn't be different because, some PC police are telling me to. But, one of the things that I always felt proud of about Entourage, we were always ahead of the time, and everyone who worked in the business considered it a very realistic look at the business. So if I was doing it in 2020, I would do the same thing,
Yeah, that's why, I was telling you, what I'm saying, off air, man, you gotta bring it back, man. Throw that bitch on Netflix or something. You know what I'm saying? See, what are the chances of that, man? Again, we on the radio right now, and I'm not trying to put that pressure on you right now, but I kind of am at the same time. I think that would be dope.
It's not even pressure. It's just it was of its time. I did enough, and I'm actually loving the podcast because it gives me a chance to hang out with these guys who I love and talk about things that were like on the show, but I have no desire to go back and do that show again. Doing a show on anything is a very long, difficult process. So if I'm going to do another one, I want to do something different. But like I said, the victory of the podcast, it feels like the show, and I don't have to show up on a set and deal with 200 people. I just sit in a room with a couple of my buddies and hang out and talk about it. So I enjoy it more, actually.
No, absolutely. And I can't push back on that because it's actually sound dope. You guys are actually talking about each episode individually, and you guys had a ton of episodes, so that's a ton of content. You know what I'm saying? So that's actually dope.
Yeah.
But I think Fuller House, right? That's Full House and you had Bob Saget on Entourage. You know what I'm saying? I just think it would be dope. Again, no pressure, but I just think at some point it's just showing how everybody aged and went their separate ways, and you know what I mean. I think it'd be dope, but again, no pressure. But I think.
Listen, anything's possible. It's like Friends is about to do a reunion after, I don't even know, 20 years or something. So you never know. But at this particular moment, it doesn't interest me at all.
Nah, I hear that. So, how'd you connect with Mark Wahlberg, man?
So I knew Mark. I actually met Mark when I first got out here. But then a friend of mine from college became his manager, and it was actually his idea to do a show about Mark and his friends, which is where the idea started. And then as I wrote it, it sort of morphed into a Mark character and more about guys that I grew up with and knew. But so we connected through that, and he was nice enough to let me kind of take his life and use what worked and use what and let me make up what didn't. So that was kind of where it all started.
Yeah, but I actually think it's genius though, because you got Vinny Chase, Adrian. He looks nothing like Marky Mark. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of based off him.
We
so
looked for a Mark. Yeah.
Oh, y'all did? You couldn't find nobody?
No. Look at the movie business. Who's like Mark? Mark is it's why he's a movie star, because there aren't a lot of those kind of manly man tough guys, and That's what I was searching for when we started, and Adrian actually was perfect, but was definitely not the thing that I was looking for when we started. But I think it actually ended up working great for us because Marc is such a leader, tough guy, and I don't mean like a tough guy, but he is.
Yeah,
but I mean
yeah.
just a strong-willed person, and I think it was good that Adrian kind of was the guy who you felt like needed a little bit of a crew around him and stuff. So it all worked out for the best.
Yeah.
But when we started, we were looking for Marc, and still 20 years later, there's not a lot of Marcs out there. There really aren't. So.
Hey, now it's crazy. I'm telling you right now, because I got like a first cousin. You know, I'm black and white. I got a first cousin that look exactly like Marky Mark. That's it's crazy. Right. But no, like, did you guys ever rib Marky Mark for like the Good Vibration record? You know what I'm saying? You ever clown him?
Did I what?
Marky Mark, the Good Vibration when he tried to be a rapper. You ever like, you know what I mean, give him a hard time? No, I'm saying you ever give him a hard time about that record?
Oh, no. Why would I give him a hard time? He made millions and millions of dollars and became a huge movie star by the time he was 21. There's not much I could give him a hard time about. And I don't call Marky Mark, though. I've never called him Marky Mark. I don't think he likes that. But, you know, Marc is, you know, he was a great guy, and honestly, he's a great inspiration. Nobody worked harder, and nobody's had a longer run of success. So, no, I don't make fun of him about anything. You know, I think he's doing it the right way, and I think that he's a model for everyone to look at and how to, you know, do a business well and hard, you know?
No, absolutely, absolutely. Like, again, I'm not trying to take a shot at him. It's just, you know, it's just seeing where he came, you know, where he started from, like, doing music and then, you know, becoming the star and, you know, the actual, you know, representation of, you know, quote unquote, you know, Vinny Chase, you know, is like that whole career arc, you know, was kind of different. So that's why I brought that up. You know what I mean? No shout at Mark.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Mark Wahlberg, man. Number left for him, man.
But I mean, we didn't use that actual like story as the basis of it. And but you know, there's different paths people take to get into this stuff. And I think at the end of the day, you know, Marc, you know, he was born to be a star, and he is. Yeah. And whether you like the music or not, he sold a lot of records, had a lot of concerts, and that's what it is, you know.
No, absolutely, absolutely. So, you know, one of the biggest characters on Entourage is Ari Gold, you know, Jeremy Piven. And it's, you know, I did my research based off of Ari Emanuel, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong, he's like the current like mayor of like Chicago and all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, how close are they?
No, that's his brother.
Oh, it's his brother. Oh, yeah. Tell me right. I'm sorry, man.
This is a very successful family. I mean, his other brother is one of the most, you know, prominent doctors in the world who's on TV all the time talking about the COVID and stuff. But Ari is the head of William Morris. They bought the UFC, and Ari is, you know, Ari was the basis of the character, and he's, you know, probably one of the most successful Hollywood agents in the world right now. So, or talent agents in the world right now, which he's got a lot more than that. He's got businesses and basically built an empire. So he was a great model for the character, and he's a real charismatic, powerful guy, and you know, that's where it started also.
Yeah. And you know, this is one of the best shows. Like I told you off air, man. Martin, Fresh Prince, and Entourage. It's a trifecta, the best shows ever. I'm trying to, you know what I mean, gas my man right here to actually bring it back, but you know, that's his baby. So, you know, whatever you want to do, that's what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about some of your future projects. You know what I'm saying? You got anything going on upcoming?
I'm working on you know, football, soccer as we know it, but football show with Thierry Henry. So I'm working on that right now, and then I got another script I'm working on. But the world is kind of real quiet right now. There's obviously not a lot of production happening, and you know, so I'm focusing on the podcast for the moment.
Yeah. And it's a great podcast. Like, you know, especially if you're a fan of Entourage, just kind of give you that, you know, that extra, you know, after you see like the, you know, the final episode, you see the movie and everything like that, to get that extra fix, you gotta go check out that podcast for real. You know what I'm saying? It kept me going and made me reach out to, you know what I mean, this man right here, Doug Ellin, man, and he's the mastermind behind all of this. You know what I'm saying? And you know, Doug, man, I gotta talk to you off there, man. 'Cause I gotta get you like your mind frame about writing, you know what I'm saying? Because based off my radio station that we interviewing right now, I started this out of a living room. And then now we have like a office space. We got XXL magazine. I'm on the Grammy, and I didn't almost got robbed. It's a whole bunch of stuff.
You think there's a show? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah. I'm putting you I'm putting you on the spot right now, trying to pitch you. Now I'm joking, but
listen, I like it. When I make it to Connecticut again, my daughter goes to school in Connecticut. If there is any school, so when I make it there, maybe I'll come by. But
absolutely, man.
You know, the truth is, you know, what I always tell people, young writers, there's a show in anything. It's really about the characters. I don't think the idea behind Entourage was all that, you know, interesting. It's really about the characters. And if you relate to them and you care about what they're doing, it doesn't matter if they're in Hollywood or they're working in, you know, Connecticut. It doesn't really matter at a radio station. So I think for all writers, it's really about character and finding stories that are interesting no matter what the actual backdrop is.
Hey, all right, but one more thing before I let you go, man. Like, as far as the dialogue, like, you know, when you start, like, you know, a script or whatever, and you say, hey, how you doing? What's up, ugly month, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you actually come up with the dialogue, like, bit by bit, man? Like, because I could, like, come up with something, like, I think, like, the whole narrative of the show should go this way, or, you know, the whole thought pattern of the show should do this, that way. I'm talking about, like, bit by bit.
I mean, one of the things I definitely was blessed with was an ear for dialogue. That's not the hard part for me. The hard part is stories. So trying to come up with what the stories are and what people are doing, you know, on a daily basis is the tricky part. But dialogue I can write all day, and once you get the characters down, for me, it just kind of writes itself when you know what the scene is. But it's really the challenging part for me is coming up with an actual plot and an actual story. Dialogue has always been secondhand to me. So there's different writers that, you know, some are great with plot, some are great with dialogue, some are great with both. So you know, it's a very easy thing for me when I know what the scene is about to get people to start talking. You know.
Yeah. What was the most challenging episode you did with Entourage? You know, as far as like putting the show together, top to bottom.
I mean, there's so many things, but shooting at Yankee Stadium, just all of the logistics of making it happen and getting to New York, or shooting live at the Laker game, or, you know, shooting at a U2 concert, or a Klitschko fight at the Staples Center.
Dope.
Those were always complicated. Fun.
All right, so out of all the characters, man, who's the toughest to deal with, man?
Out of the actors?
Yeah. Or even if it was like an extra or something, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Who's the, you know what I mean, the biggest pain in the ass, man?
I mean, you know, listen, obviously I'm not throwing anyone to the bus.
Yeah, I actually do that.
In the ass, you know, they know who they are, but I actually pain in the ass, which is why I would probably not do another one of it. You know, like some people, life is too short to work with some people, you know what I'm saying? But I won't mention anybody, but there's a couple of people that I worked with we're not the easiest people to deal with. But for the most part, we had a great time. You know, it was really almost a 13-years together with the movie and everything. So it was a good time for the most part. There's a couple of people you won't see me hanging around with too often.
But doing the TV show, like, you know, bit by bit for 8 episodes, 8 seasons, excuse me, and the movie, like jumping to the movie realm was that much more difficult?
I mean, it wasn't that it was much more difficult. You know, obviously it's a big difference. You know, when you do a TV show, people watch an episode, and, you know, if they didn't like that episode as much as the last one, they just, you know, by the time they think about it, there's another one coming. Mm-hmm. With a movie, you spend a lot of time, and then it's got to come out, and the whole big release and the whole thing. But the process was pretty much the exact same, you know. And you know, we shot the show like a movie every week.
Yeah.
So it wasn't much different, but obviously once it's released and that's it, you get 2 weekends, and either you're a success or you're not. It's a very different thing.
Okay. So again, Doug, man, I ain't gonna hold you much longer, man. But thank you for calling in, man. Anything else you want to get out to the people, man? Make sure you check out the Victory podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, go run
Victory, the podcast. Victory, the podcast on all your major podcast platforms. But thanks, man. I much appreciate it. And stay safe. Be good.
You too, Doug, man. Thank you, man. Doug Ellin, man. Entourage, man. That man done did it, man. Thank you. All right, brother.
Be good. All right. Later.